Good, very good. Thank you for joining us. My name is Steve Reed, and as you can see by the slide, I'm the head of sales enablement at Kazoo. I'm going to talk about a little bit of an uncomfortable topic. It's uncomfortable for us to go through. Let me demonstrate the level of discomfort by having you do something with me. So take your phones out. Everybody grab your phone and go ahead and unlock it and open it up to your photo app, just so you can see these photographs. I have photographs of my grandson in here and a couple of other things. Now, just take your phone and pass it to the person on the right, and then hand it to a random person at the table behind you. And let's do that 3 more times. Okay, everybody ready? And then you can just collect your phones at the end of the... Oh, no, that's uncomfortable, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Well, we waded into some uncomfortable waters over the last year with our company, Kazoo. Let me take you on that little journey with us, and it'll be helpful to sort of understand who we are and what we do. So Kazoo, we help companies create amazing employee experiences, and we do that by providing software to help manage real-time recognition and rewards, continuous performance management, and employee engagement surveys. And these are all things that companies are paying a lot of attention to nowadays. HR teams are trying to understand how to put these kind of programs into place, because when we go to work today, we don't just think about the job and how much we get paid. We think about the overall experience that we have with our employer, and building a strong employer brand is something that's top of mind for a lot of organizations. So employee experience management, however, is a complex thing to solve. It's always cross-functional. When we talk to our HR stakeholders who become our customers, they say, I can never do this on my own. I always have to have a partner in the business to do any kind of a big change around HR initiatives. So imagine if an HR professional, a CHRO, for instance, sitting at an executive table says, we're going to change the way we do all employee evaluations, and everybody here and everybody in the company is involved, and you all got to get on board with this. You're probably going to find one of these uncomfortable moments that we just all experience, because everybody is involved. Everybody has to go through some type of a change. So it's tough, it's cross-functional, and you know what, if you get it wrong, it's a risky issue for the organization, because you can waste a lot of time, a lot of money, and cause a lot of upheaval within the organization. And the person who's making that decision can actually put their career at risk if they don't get it right. And most of our customers have never bought a system to manage this type of a thing. So that's what we're selling into. However, the impact on the organization is really big. So these are some of the things that are happening at organizations that are struggling to really get this right. It's not uncommon that they have 19% higher employee churn. So if you have a 500 person company, if you churn 19% of them, that's 95 employees that you're churning. That's going to cost you at least $500,000 just to replace those with new employees, not counting all the lost productivity. So you can see as you go down this list here, these are really the business reasons that drive a need to have a program like we can help our companies, our customers do. So the question for us is, like, what's our best approach to selling this? And we looked at various different ways, and frankly, we tried various different ways. We thought, listen, we'll talk about our product being the best. The problem with being product-centric is the customer has too many options. There are other platforms that do the same thing we do, and it becomes a me too. And to constantly innovate to the point where you can always be best of breed requires a tremendous amount of investment, and you'll always be outpaced at one point or another. Price-centric means, hey, we won't be undersold. That's low service, that's high customer churn, that's low innovation, really tough to win in that type of a market. And if we thought about, well, maybe we'll just know the most. We'll be knowledge-centric. Otherwise, we'll be a consultancy. But the customer is really not asking for that. They were asking for a tool. And that's low ARR, and it's not a SaaS model. And by the way, we are funded by a private equity fund, and they want a SaaS model. So, we just were not going to be able to succeed with this. So the lane that we found was value-centric. And value is a little different. It's more strategic. It focuses on the outcomes like we see across the slide there. It's really good for an early adopter model, which is right where the market is for us, with buyers never having bought this before. And it creates high differentiation. We're not talking about whether our UX is blue and theirs is green, whether it has a button here or a button there. We're talking about what business value is this going to deliver, and forget about whether or not you can change the color you want to change. So, and it's very much aligned with the same way the customer is trying to solve this pain internally. So that's the approach that we took. And as we get into enablement, we designed a lot of different programs around enabling our sales team to be very value-centric. So we have methodologies, we have all kinds of persona training. We have 85 different training activities. There's in our universe of training, from boot camp to full maturity over a period of time for salespeople. So was it working? Well, the good news is it really is. It isn't, did it work? It is still working. So the kind of things that we've seen and turnaround in the organization is 100% annual quota achievement for last year. We actually beat our stretch goals. We didn't just get to our number, we get beyond our number and to the stretch goal that was given to us by our board. We met the 80-80 goal, which for us means 80% of the sales organization is at 80% or better of their target number for the entire year. We saw a 43% increase in the average deal price from the deal size in January to the deal size in December. 43%. It's a huge move. We moved our sales cycle from 120 days to 88 days, from open to close one. And this is one of the things I'm most proud of, is we could call our number. So forecast accuracy, how many of us get it right? How many of our sales teams are 100% rocking on this? No, it is like pulling teeth. It is tough to get a salesperson to be accurate on their forecast. But our team, on a routine basis, when they make that early call at the first of the quarter, it is no more than 7% off by the end of the quarter. So this has been pretty transformational for the organization. It's really been working. But one of the things that, it's always a but, right? So one of the things we did see is that while our account executive team was thriving in this way, and we were really going deep on value selling, our SDR team was very traditional, very transactional. And, as a result, a lot of pray and spray. And we were not seeing the kind of results that we wanted from our SDR team. So all of our key SDR measurables, from average SDR to prospect talk time, to MQL to SAL conversion, all of those were either flat or were starting to trend down. And so listen, we all know if you don't have a strong pipeline, if you're not building that 4X pipeline to quota, then the business is going to feel that impact sooner than later. And so we had to get out in front of this issue. And we had to look honestly to say, listen, we've doubled down so much into value selling on one side of our business, and yet we're doing totally the opposite thing on the other side. Should we be doing something different here? So we decided, could we train our SDRs to use value selling techniques during their cold outreach? And how would we do that if we decided we could? And if we did that, do we think it would change our results? So we decided that, listen, we're going to give it a try. We're going to do some experimentation. We'll run a bit of a pilot for a few months and see what happens. So the first thing we wanted to do is find out really what do customers feel about the first encounter that they have with us. So we literally brought in HR professionals that we would sell to, some customers, some prospects. We sat down with them and we asked them, what do you want? What do you care about? When you do get cold calls, which you do, when you do get cold email outreach, what do you like? What do you hate? Give it to us straight. And what it came down to are really 4 very, very key things. The customers said, listen, I don't want you to presume you know what's going on at my organization. You need to know, which means don't do your research with me. Do your research before you talk to me. Understand my role and understand the business that I'm in. So if we're talking to HR professionals, we really have to understand what they are dealing with, and we need to target our message, our conversations with them as if we do know. The other thing they talked about is, like, when I get on the phone with you, I want you to communicate very well. I'm turned off by too casual a conversation, by not matching the role. It doesn't have to be full of business jargon. In fact, I like weekend language, but listen, this is a business conversation and you're already interrupting me. I'm not sitting around, blocking out time in my day, hoping people will cold call me. So when I'm on the phone with you, if I'm going to give you time, make it valuable, no casual check-ins. Another thing they said is, no, don't make it all about you, make it about me. Focus what is going to happen after the sale. So if you have a solution that is going to solve a business problem for me, tell me what that problem is and what my new reality is going to look like once you're able to help me get there. And then finally, they said, tell me something I don't know. I value insights and perspective. I don't value you telling me something that everybody already knows. Give me something, since you're in this business, that you've learned from other customers, that you've learned from your research, that you've learned from your theory of work, something I'm not going to encounter from anyone else that we're already not talking about at depth. So with these 4 things in mind, this underpinned our approach to how we were going to teach value. Now, imagine how you would convert this feedback into a training program for SDRs. This is their first job out of college. So not necessarily really easy, uncomfortable. It's like passing the cell phone around, but we decided to wade into this and see what would happen. So we experimented for a month around this. We went really, really deep on our value training to our SDR team. We changed our method and our approach to align with what those customers said across those 4 things. We held team coaching and role plays sessions twice daily for a month. We recorded and analyzed all our calls. We happened to use Gong. There are other systems out there to do the same thing, but we were religiously using it, and we were listening and bringing those into the role plays to say, this is what we heard this morning. Let's find out what we're going to hear this afternoon. We decided also to do shorter outreach sequences. We do use Outreach IO. SalesLoft might be something that you use. It's a system like that that sort of organizes things. We were running 6 to 12 week sequences before, chopped them down to 2 weeks. Fewer touches, actually, and that's something the customer says, don't pester me to death. Honor my time, honor my perspective. So we decided fewer touches, but higher quality. And then we reduced the number of accounts that SDRs focused on. We have a TAM of about 35,000 companies. And so we reduced the number of accounts that we were asking our reps to touch on a weekly basis from 1,000 to about 250. And just go deep, learn what you can about these organizations, dig into who you're going to talk to, find out things about where they went to college, look at their LinkedIn profiles, really get to know these people before you reach out to them. So what we, fundamentally, one way that you can look at this is this was a typical opening statement from one of our calls. Hi, this is Sam with Kazoo. I'm wondering if you have a moment to speak with me about the systems that you're currently using to manage employee experience. What do you think we would hear when we would say that? Man, I can't wait to talk to you. No. Yeah, I'm busy, not right now. We have something, all the things you would expect. It's a fast no. And so what we saw was our talk time under this type of a condition, an opening statement, was about 30 seconds or less. We moved to something more like this. Hi, this is Sam with Kazoo. I work in the HR industry, and I've been reaching out to leaders like yourself to talk about how you're using employee experience programs to drive key business initiatives at your company. Can you talk to me about what you're doing? So a really different approach, a really different opening statement, and what we saw was a 600% increase in talk time. And that happened within 1 week when we just moved to this type of an approach. Now, you have to be able to hold a conversation after you create an opening statement like this. So you better have something in depth that you can talk about. And that was what all the training was about, was to equip them to get into a conversation like this. But we got into conversations. And actually, we had to teach our people not to talk for 20 or 30 minutes because customers wanted to talk for 20 or 30 minutes when you opened up a conversation like this. So I had to figure out how we rope this in a little bit and get to the ask, but embrace the idea of the conversation. So things really started to take off, and over a period of about 2.5 months, what we saw is the average SDR to prospect talk time went up, and that was that 600% increase. We saw the percentages of meetings that were set with priority contacts went way up. So priority contacts to us are director, VP, or C-level HR professionals. We were setting a lot of meetings with manager level or individual contributors, but they don't move the needle on the budget when it comes right down to it. So what we were requiring of our SDRs is to either call high and be ready to have that kind of a conversation, or to get someone on the phone and get them to sponsor you up within the organization to the priority contact, and that's the meeting we will pay you for. So we saw an MQL to SAL, SQL conversion rate go up, close one percentages went up, in-quarter pipeline creation, and total pipeline health were all up and very significantly. So here's what we've done since then. We've doubled down on our plan. So we've accelerated our hiring actually to double the headcount of the SDR team. We found that by fewer touches, we're getting a greater outcome. And by having these kinds of conversations where, we're starting to see the abundance that we need. We've identified learning objectives, and we've built a 6-day SDR boot camp that has 60 sessions in it. That's in class, online, and homework. That's all constructed around this six-day experience. So first, we hire in cohorts, so we can be very efficient in training them that way. But their first day, they sit in the class. 6 days later, they're ready to get on the phone. And so we're actually launching another cohort next Monday. So it's been really exciting. We instrumented learning content into an LMS. We actually had to go out and buy one, put all this content into it so that we can deliver it efficiently. They're not waiting around for me to be available to teach them. There are things we can assign to them, and then we bring in subject matter experts along the way as well. We worked with our marketing team to hone what that message should be and produce the right kind of content to support these outreach campaigns. Things as simple as a flip book that has all of the proof points, that has business impact, that diagnose a certain type of an issue the customer is dealing with, that they have as ready reference right there next to their computer. Having a close relationship with a marketing team that is in this with you is really, really important. We couldn't have gotten there without them. And so that's something that you can't do without, and that I wouldn't suggest you try to neglect. And then we also built out new dashboards to track our pipeline dynamics and our progress in real time, so that we can make some very calibrated but quick adjustments if we see things moving in a direction we don't like. So here's some key learnings that I could pass along to you that we've taken out, and I'll say right up front, we're still on this journey. This isn't a destination that we feel like we've totally reached and that, hey, we've arrived. We are getting there, and we are learning more as we go, but so far, so good. But the things that if you wanted to try this yourself, that I would ask you to think about and focus on is, we found value in simplifying and focusing. So shorten these sequences to allow for fast pivots. As soon as we saw some type of an email message that wasn't generating the opens or the kind of results we wanted, we're done with that, and we put something else in place and we move on. We reduced the volume of touches, but we made each one much more meaningful. So going back to the 4 things that customer says, I want you to do, when you send your emails, they should be full of insights and perspectives. That was the thing the customer said they valued the most, and the thing that they weren't getting enough of. So that's one key learning around anchoring your message on the thing that they care about. The other thing is, bring the right mindset to the conversation. So we think of this in three ways: community, curiosity, and generous intent. So we literally teach our SDRs this, and when we do role playing, we're asking, that's not generous. That doesn't feel like it's curious. I love the way you're building community. So the idea here is, when you talk about community, is we understand you, we're in this with you. So remember this second example of the call, the opening statement. Hi, my name's Sam. I work in the HR industry just like you. That's community building, right? So it's not like, hey, I want you to do something for me. Curiosity is, I'm interested in what you think. How do you view this issue? Remember, the ask we made is not, would you like to talk about my product? The ask we made is, what are you doing within your organization with a program to drive business results? So we're curious. We want to learn from you, and we truly do. We get tremendous amount of insight for having those conversations, but we're not asking them to care about us. And then generous intent is all about earning the ask. So we don't ask up front. We ask later in the call, or maybe we set another call and ask on that call. Earning the ask is really important. It's something we heard from our customer panel. Sometimes the best outcome is that we made a good connection and we had a meaningful conversation, and we're set up for another opportunity later. So sharing something insightful and valuable and respecting their no, and really accepting that with grace. So they don't want to be pestered after they say no. And the thing that rang loud and clear was, listen, you will go into the ignore file if you piss me off by bugging me too much about this. When I say no, it's because I can't, right? It's not because I don't like you, but I can't do it. I don't have the budget. I don't have the cycles. We have something else going on. Really, no may mean not today. But when I need it, I know who to call if you've treated me with respect, and you respect the no today because it could be yes tomorrow. And we've actually seen that happen, where people have said no early, have come back later and said, we've really given this some thought. It's been a couple of months, but we think now is the time to really dig into this with you. And we like the way, the conversation went the last time. So the final thing is really training our team above the role. So we absolutely know that this is not the typical way to invest in training for SDRs, that normally this is treated as an entry-level position, and we're sort of doing the same thing, hiring at that level, but we're training them in a way that we also train our account executives. So one of the benefits that we see is we're building a stronger pipeline for transitional talent to go from an SDR role into an account executive role. We're exposing them to some of those things, and we're actually giving them practice cycles on some of the key conversational things that they're going to need to be masters of when they move over there. We want to teach them how to engage in that business conversation, to match that tone, to ask good questions, and to not just use a script. Like, this is an open conversation. You have conversation topics and techniques that you're taught, but you have to carry the conversation along the way. And then drill these techniques until they can't do it the wrong way. So this twice daily for a little while was what it took. This big boot camp that we do, that's what it takes. But it's really yielding results. And so I encourage you to give it a shot, get a little uncomfortable and try this, because it's really been working for us. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so you're absolutely right. I mean, someone can learn a way to open a conversation, and that's a pretty good way to open it with the statement that we talked about. But how do you actually respond when a customer responds to you and they start getting into depth? So you have to train for that depth, and you have to really drill around that depth. So I mentioned a little bit this flip book that we do. We have an approach that we think about. We think about a Socratic method for doing some discovery. So tell me about the program that you're running right now. What kind of results are you seeing? What's making that challenging or difficult for you? What would your ideal situation look like? So they're just like asking a series of questions, and they're learning to follow the clues and to listen very intently. Listening skills are one of the key things that we build. And then we give them ways to sort of reframe the conversation. So in our world, what we do is we think of this as when you go to the doctor and you have something wrong, you want a diagnosis. So we're sort of the doctors. And the doctor is going to use a variety of techniques to diagnose what's wrong with you. And there's a big difference if you just have a garden variety cold or if you have coronavirus, right? So, and you're going to want a doctor to diagnose correctly and give you the right kind of treatment. So we have sort of what we understand about our market is the big issue sort of boils down to three things. They're in a war for talent. They have grown to the point where they need to do more better in the systems that they're currently using, which are typically email and Google Docs or something. Or they are they're needing to elevate their culture. So something has caused their culture to get weak, and it's causing some really big issues. And they need to elevate their culture. So if we can diagnose one of those things with a company, with a customer based on what we've discovered, it's gold. So we give them things to listen to, things to listen for, symptoms to identify that align with one of those diagnoses. And then we have market proof that says this is really happening. And we have business impact that says, and here's what it's doing to your business. I would like to set an appointment with you to talk to one of our consultants to go deeper on this. And that's essentially how we're doing it. Yes? Yeah. Yeah, so we were running sequences that were 6 to 12 weeks with everything you can imagine, right? Multiple emails, multiple platforms of outreach like, LinkedIn and email and phone calls. We were just inundating them with a lot of touches. And instead of that actually creating a higher likelihood that we would connect with them, it was creating frustration on their part because they felt like they were being carpet bombed and they were just turning us off. Like, whereas they may have been receptive to a certain message, they weren't even opening it. So we saw things like low open rates and stuff like that. When we actually pulled some of that back and took what we thought was our best content and just served up a few pieces over a shorter period of time, we saw what we wanted. We saw the content really working for us and driving higher connection rates. Yeah, so in a 12-week outreach sequence, we may have built in something like 30 touches, and it's down to about 8 touches right now over a 2-week period. Yeah. Nisha. It's good when you know your buddy in the back of the room. Yeah. So one way is we didn't do scripts. Like, we literally don't do scripts. We talk about techniques and we talk about content that you can use to fill the technique. So for instance, we teach a technique for doing a Socratic conversation, but we don't say, here's exactly what to say. We say, use this technique, and we're going to do role playing, and we're going to do call listening and call coaching to fine tune how you're using that technique. The second thing is we taught them a lot of facts, like anchoring on things like market perception, who's our buyer, what certain personas care about, what that role really is like, the business issues that are going on. So some of the things I shared with you up front in that slide that says these are the things that happen inside of businesses that are struggling with this issue. Most of our customers don't know that. They know that they've got a problem and they're trying to make everybody feel better. Like, this is a feel-good program. But when we say, yeah, they're going to feel good, but here's what's going to happen. You're going to lower your cost of benefits from the company contribution side by as much as 50%. And we can prove it. Like, that's a reframe and a connection to data that our customers don't know. And so it's arming our team with those kinds of conversation nuggets and putting them literally in a flip book that they, as they're listening, they're going, okay, I am on enriched culture. I heard this, I heard that, I heard that. Here are the things I can talk about. And after a while, they don't need the flip book because they've done it so many times, they know it. Did that answer your question? Cool. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah, I felt jolted, yes. Yeah. So I would say that in most organizations, it's a lot of incremental change to get you there. I have the luxury of having some change capital and having a relationship with the CRO that preceded me coming there. And actually, he asked me, right, so could you come and help us with this issue? And so he didn't identify that specific thing, but he says, we are going to need enablement in a big way. So I think I actually have the ability to come in and say, here's what I see, and I want you to try something radical. And utilize some of that change capital and make that happen. So, it was an intersection between a great leader that I get to work for and the right timing, and a guy that's just willing to try it out. And if it doesn't work, we move on and do something else. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all of that, but I'll just kind of tell you our journey. So before the LMS, everything had to be done in person. So it was very dependent on someone, mostly me, being available to be in a room with someone else at the right time to teach them something, right? So we knew that was not going to be scalable. We had to build a business case to spend the money for the LMS. And then we also had to create an overwhelming amount of content to say, like, I got to do something with all this. This is why it's not working. And we needed that content, but we needed it also to help us really build the business case for it. And then what we've done is we've iterated on the content. Listen, if we waited until we were perfect, we would still be waiting. So what we decided to do is, let's get to pretty good. Let's make it better. And then someday we may be perfect, but we're going to be impactful. That's the thing that was sacred, was not perfection, but impact. So what we've done is we've added videos, we've recorded some of our subject matter experts giving their presentations, and we've mated those things together. It's just gotten better. And we're still finding ways to use various pieces of the functionality of the LMS that we haven't turned on yet. It's incremental piece by piece as we roll that out, and there's only so much people are going to absorb and adopt anyway. But that's how we've gotten there, iteratively on the content side.
Cool.
All right, thank you. I'm around if you need to talk. Appreciate it.